Dick crazy. To me, it's kind of both things. A little bit of a Karen, like, I'm not supposed to have that, not supposed to have that. A little bit of that, but so turning the thing into a social media star was probably how you find yourself with unwanted attention. Well, Stansbury's been a social media star for a few years now. Look, all of a sudden, the timing, but the timing would always be. That's the thing. This is how everybody came in. You have 6 people over to your house for a year for dinner, you're probably going to be able to contain the thing. As a matter of fact, when they're in their house, dude, can I ask you not to take pictures, not to post? You know, dude, people are yelling at celebrities, Joe Robo, to a boy, her boy baby, because she is now a boy mom. The world is there. It's that crazy now. Can you not post about my cute little squirrel? Because I don't want the lady from down the street, right? Can you not? We're headed there. Everything being out for judgment of everybody else is causing a lot of problems for people. A lot of issues for you. It was too far. It was excessive. That animal did not have to die. That part is absolutely insane. And yet, I think it will be easy for a lot of people throughout the country today to be like, oh, so wait. Hold on. This is the big problem, but that problem, 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 that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Nothing. But the squirrel was the issue? Yeah, that's going to be easy for people to do that today. A little bit. Talk that. Quincy Jones. Also talk to Scott from winningfornextyear.com. Missed any of it. I'll post the podcast shortly, that at WRQK.com. Aside from that, I'm done for the day. Not back live again until tomorrow. Stay safe out there, please. Be good to one another out there today. Please. Insurance. Meet me here tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. for Tuesday's program on Rock 106.9. Hopefully you have a great day. Hopefully I run into you somewhere around town. The Stansbury Show.
I'm being shunned by a society that demands success when all I can offer is faith.
On Rock 106.9.
Shape your future with a climate-friendly business degree. Earn your sustainable business management degree 100% online with Unity Environmental University. Discover what you can do at degrees.unity.edu.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu, fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
For a limited time, you can enjoy a savory sausage McMuffin with egg meal, including golden hash browns and a small hot coffee for just $5. Price and participation may vary.
Probably won't be back.
Yeah.
So the milestone.
Yeah.
Because like earlier in the year, I was like, well, I understand the theory. Because if you're going to reset now, he's the thing that's going to bring back a ton of pieces.
Right.
But then they beat that Baltimore team and Jameis, and now it's like, well, if you think you're going to salvage this year?
See, I don't think we are. I don't. And I'm not trying to be that.
Because Pittsburgh is so far out ahead.
Pittsburgh's 6-2, and at the end of the day,
again, Steelers fans, give it to me. You deserve it.
I just don't see us flipping the script from 2-6 to on the door of the playoffs. I just don't see it. And look, Jameis.
So for frame of reference, for people listening, it's Chargers this week.
Right.
Bye week at 10. At New Orleans, winnable game.
Right.
Pittsburgh, gonna be tough. That's at home. Buying tickets. Then you go on the road at Denver, winnable game, and then you're at Pittsburgh, week 14. That might be a little tough. Oh, and then Kansas City, week 15.
Yeah.
Bengals, week 16. Not necessarily world beaters right now themselves. And then Miami, 17.
Yeah.
18.
Is that game at home?
Miami's home.
Okay. Okay.
Miami's home.
So
like, there might be a little bit of a run here, my man.
I know. Oh my God!
Just when I thought it was out.
There's a path. Jameis Winston still. I haven't looked at the stats lately. I think he's thrown more interceptions than he has touchdown passes.
Well, Brian's telling me here, he goes,
okay.
Stansbury, I heard somebody once say Jameis he'll give you 4 no matter what. Might be 4 touchdowns, it might be 4 picks, but Jameis is giving you 4.
Right. He'll give you 4 touchdowns, 2 for you and 2 for them. Okay.
So he is the hand. He is the hand.
That's what he is.
He is the hand that feeds Tampa. Like, I mean, he's what gives and takes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Jameis Winston.
And to me, that's what it is. And look, I love the Browns. I love the fans. I think some of you are insane, but
we're all insane.
I mean, just we need to recoup. We need to recoup some draft picks. We need some capital if we're going to move on and do something special in the next 3 to 5 years. You're going to have to find yourself a quarterback. I don't know how you're going to get him, but you're going to have to develop him. Look, Miles
Maybe call
Garrett.
Tampa and see if they want to trade.
Oh, here we go. Look, I love Miles, but how many years is he going to be?
Well, there's
at
an
the
argument
top
in this.
of his game.
So what most people are going to say,
And
and we got to
where
wrap
is
this up
he
pretty
in the
quickly,
big
is
moments?
the pushback against trading Miles, though, is, all right, so you get 6 picks for him, let's say. Couple of seconds, then maybe a third, fourth, whatever it is, 4 or 5 picks, whatever it is. Okay, great. But Andrew Berry's picking.
Oh,
You like his chances to find you another Miles?
I'm guessing he's out too.
Well, I think he's going to be the fall guy.
I'm guessing
This is what I've been
Berry's
saying.
out.
I say, Stefanski's a 2-time coach of the year. And I think that's going to be, they're going to keep coming back to that phrase, and he's going to save his job. And I think probably should, Kev, right? But you are going to blame somebody. And I think it's going to be the GM.
Yeah,
And I
could be
think
right.
Andrew Berry's probably going to lose his job. You can find Sam on the call tonight. Your game of the week is Hoover at Lake, 7 o'clock. Find Sam and Jeff Shreve right here on Rock 106.9, 7 o'clock. For that. Aside from that, we're done for the day. Not back live again until Monday, but you can find me later this afternoon. I'll be at the Hilton Doubletree, downtown Canton, for the Ohio Cannabis Expo. I'm on site 1 to 3. The event is today and tomorrow, and we'll be passing out a handful of gas cards at the table when you stop by at the Ohio Cannabis Expo and see us today. I'm on site 1 to 3. Aside from that, done for the day. Not back live again until Monday morning. Stay safe out there. Be good to one another. Meet me here Monday, 6 a.m. for another week of the Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9. Hopefully you have a great weekend, and hopefully I run into you somewhere around town.
The Stansbury Show
I propose we head for the bar.
on Rock 106.9.
Well, at 9 a.m., take care of a credit card bill, mortgage, something, whatever it is. $1,000 up for grabs. Rock the bank with me. Missed that one. Teresa has the second word at 10 a.m. Continue those throughout the day. Just again, I want to say congratulations to Taggart. It's going to be able to be reopening and actually seating customers indoors after a car drove through the front of it about 6 weeks ago. I guess they've been doing to-go stuff for a while, but I read in the rep last night, Jeff Schaefer had a write-up in the rep. Apparently, they'll be seating people inside today. I'm going to bet that's going to be a popular destination today. Speaking of reps, I feel like Taggart's got a pretty good one there. So shout out to those guys. Happy to hear about it. All right, earlier we were talking about Bill Belichick a little bit. And he's 72, dating a 24-year-old. And I got to be careful on how much I judge that, having been in some age gap relationships. And I'm not meaning to imply that she is an imbecile at all. I'm not. But we were talking about relationship issues that can kind of come up with age gaps. But now what I do have here is examples of when people realized they were in a relationship with an absolute idiot. Right? And this can be true, right? It's one of those things. The heart wants what the heart wants. And in the early phases, in the courting stage, if you will, you can look past a lot for a person, right? Because it's like cleavage. It's so like, I mean, she is, I don't know, man, she's making a lot of sense, right? No, she isn't. But like, you're just, you're getting a little dopey over it. It happens to everybody. It's happened to me, it's happened to you. So we have some examples here, and I love this last one because I have had this same very situation, not with a sex partner, but with one of my listeners who can't quit me no matter how much he hates me. But this woman says here, look, I was in an argument with my ex-boyfriend, and it was knockout, drag him out. Like, we're screaming across the whole living room, right? And she says, I screamed to him, I'm sorry, do you need me to reiterate? To which he apparently replied, if she is to be believed, no, I want you to repeat yourself. And then I said, what do you think reiterate means? And the silence coming from him, deafening and glorious, she says. So I have been here with some people. There's a guy, and look, when you do this for a living, you want the haters more than you want the people who love you, because they can't quit you no matter what. They're going to tell you they will. They need you. And so we're thankful for them, right? And there's a guy who, no matter what I say, you're wrong, Stansbury sucks, you're wrong. And the one day I was talking about women relationships and men and this, and I was talking about how sometimes women will exaggerate. Now keep that word handy, because that's the word we're going to. And I shouldn't say women, people can have the tendency to exaggerate while being in an argument. And I was giving out a specific example. And I said, which then, she kind of said this, which is, of course, a hyperbolic statement. And the guy wrote back, "Oh, Stanford, this is why the world needs more alphas." Swear to God, you're such a Sigma bitch. Women exaggerate and everybody knows it. Nah, alpha. And I said to him, what did you think hyperbolic meant? That man calls me stupid every single day for a decade. I just told you that story so I could take this 2-second cigarette break to tell him, you realize now, the entire county knows I'm right, and you have been stupid the entire time. Have fun on that text line. Keep waiting for those replies, Logan. Have fun. So yes, that's what reiterate would mean, and that would be annoying. Somebody else said, my doctor asked my boyfriend, how did you get food poisoning twice from the same dish? He said, Doc, whatever doesn't kill you off only makes you stronger. And the doctor had to tell him, no, that actually makes you incredibly sick. That one sounds made up and fabricated. The reiterate one sounds perfect, like it's true, because that could be one of those things, you could be so mad at somebody and just say something and not realize, oh, that was a self-own. But you just self-owned yourself there. And another woman says, when I was dating my ex, I told him I had a meeting with the dean of liberal arts. And he said, why isn't there a dean of conservative things too? And now she says, this is why Republicans. And again, that one could have been true. It also feels like, I'm going to fabricate this right now. And since the election's right here, right? Either one of those things could be true. I don't know about that one. That's, of course, not what liberal arts means. I mean, most people know that. Like, right? I mean... I think most people. This guy says, actually, I once dated a woman who pronounced the T in buffet when referring to the type of restaurants, right? It gets tough because I heard somebody else say, well, what about Warren? Right? And it's like, well, I mean, again, those aren't, they're not the same thing, right? And so, like, yeah, I could see that happening. Another man told me that Adam and Eve were historical figures and dinosaurs were a myth. That one, there are going to be more than a few people that believe stuff like that. That's, again, we're giving out examples. This is when people feel like they realized they were not, or they were in a relationship with somebody who was probably, the elevator's not going up to the top floor here. Again, this would be political, but not necessarily, heated opinion. This guy says, I was dating a woman who once told me that she had learned something new, that the president of the United States is not the president of everything. She didn't realize he wasn't in charge of places like England, Australia, and China. They have their own president and leaders. She was kind of excited about learning this. I think there are more than enough people in the world but this country, sorry, I almost made the mistake I'm going to laugh at. I think there are enough people in this country, especially the younger you are. America's good at the rhetoric about how we're the best and everybody else sucks and like America's number one, that you could really walk away believing like we're in charge of everything. And when you realize that anytime anybody anywhere gets themselves into some trouble they can't handle, everybody shames America into handling it, that we're going to are in charge of everything, we're going to are in charge of some stuff. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people always point to some of those countries like, oh, they have free this, free that, free that, free that. Please pass a lot of that stuff out when other countries are picking up the self-defense or whatever. And, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of arguments and stuff like that. But I understand why people in America, some, could walk away feeling like we're it. Most people, again, in this country, the stat is, I forget the number, but it's overwhelmingly, most people never move more than like 20 miles away from their mom. So if we're not, so like the travel, it's like you get very stuck in where your life is. And it's hard to see outside that little bit of that box. So yeah, it's not a smart thing to think, but I understand the younger you are, the more likely it is somebody going to believe. All right. This kind of feels like one of those dumb guy things this woman's complaining about here. People are telling us about how when they knew they were dating an imbecile. This woman said, my first serious boyfriend wasn't until I was about 26. It's like I had dated around a little bit, but it wasn't until I was about 26. And he kept telling me about this apartment he was living in and how happy he was with his Fox blinds. And she says it took her about 15 minutes to explain to him they're faux, and it's a French spelling, and it's not Fox. I don't buy this one either, because Fox is 3 letters, faux is not, and it's, faux got an A in it, Fox does not. And so I kind of feel like I want to dunk on my dumb ex-boyfriend, and I'm going to make this up. A guy says here, I was dating a woman once, and she honestly thought the Underground Railroad had something to do with trains, and we lived in the area. I don't buy that one either. I feel like that's very common, and you know how dumb you are? You thought the railroad that big. I feel like that's one of those, and somebody's trying to sneak one past the goalie. I don't buy that one even a little. This one I do. This woman says, I live near the border of Wisconsin and Illinois, and I wouldn't have known this, but she's like, there's a very small town on that border, or near it rather, and it's called Woodstock. Her boyfriend then was absolutely convinced, you couldn't tell him otherwise, that that's where Woodstock had taken place. And he's looking at the border, he's looking at this place, like, where the hell did they fit all of these people? And he was just convinced that it was Woodstock, Illinois. She said, it took me forever to convince him that this isn't the same place, it's in New York. And it's like, imagine having these types of conversations with people before the internet. Because now you could just look it up and then, prove you're right. Well, wait, actually, that was 15 years ago on the internet. Now we can all just find articles that prove we're right, even though we're dead ass wrong.
The Stansberry Show.
I just thought you were a dumb freeloader who ate all my food and played video games all day.
On Rock 106.9.
We were talking about people giving examples of dating, and so I think that some of these were fabricated so they could find themselves in an article about this. Now, locally here, listener of mine says, oh, Stansberry, I've had some doozies. This guy says, I was dating this woman. And he's like, we decided, let's get dinner. Chinese food, right? Yeah, occasionally. And apparently she had referred to it as General's Toast, which is so strange because, like, I can't even think of something from a Chinese restaurant, the kind of Chinese restaurants that I've been to, meaning Americanized. I don't even think, what is even close to a piece of toast you get there? Like, not even, I guess it could be toasted versions of this. Yeah, that's a pretty wild one. I remember, like, when my first radio job, like my first like real on-air shift, I was a co-host on an afternoon show. And one of the things we would do between songs before we took all the songs off the show, God, it makes me feel old now thinking back how long ago that was. But anyway, it was called Drive-By Comedy. And a lot of radio stations have done this, where you would take like stand-up clips and you'd play them in between like AC/DC and Gods, right? And it was just a little bit of content of it, and it works. It literally works. Most classic rock stations, if they're suffering, somebody go, all right, last ditch effort, try it. And there was like a time where like the comedian scene was flipping over. And so the stations that had been doing it were still, it was too much Rodney Dangerfield and this. And so when like the host came into the market, he was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I was like, oh dude, people have done that here, it's bad. He goes, right, but you and I are young enough to know who the good comics are. So you and I are gonna do it right. And we did, and we got early on Greg Giraldo and like the next wave of all those guys who were on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, which was like one of the first podcasts ever, but it was on TV, on Comedy Central. It was great. That led to The Green Room on Showtime, another podcast type show with comedians. Fantastic entertainment. Anyway, there was a comedian back then, and I forget his name, but he was talking about dating idiots. And I would imagine that this actually a version of this happened to him, but he exaggerated it a touch for dramatic effect for the routine. But it was one of my favorite jokes we ran back then, and I would run it all the time. He said, it can be tough sometimes dating out there, because you just never know what you get. So a woman said to me, let's just relax and watch a movie tonight. It's like, for some reason, we're flipping through the channels, and we land on Eddie Murphy's Dr. Dolittle. He then says, he's like, midway through that movie, Eddie Murphy finds himself in a little bit of trouble. But conveniently, the wife, she's a lawyer. The woman looks at me in the middle of this movie and says, oh my God, this movie is ridiculous. They would never let your spouse represent you. To which he responded, there have been animals talking for a half hour. right? And that's so true. And I love that joke because you should see it coming, but you don't. Right? You don't. It's so easy. After you've heard it, you're like, of course, but no. He walks you into it, and it was so good. And that stuff does kind of happen when you're dating a little too much. Right? Like when you're just trying to stick everything at the wall, like throw it all at the wall and let's see what sticks and it hangs around. You can find yourself in a lot of those situations. I don't necessarily I should. It's probably just marijuana causing a bad memory. But I don't necessarily have anything that jumps to the top of the pile. It all just started to become a stereotype of, and I hate to see this because it just sounds like you're just jumping up and down on women, and I'm not, but like, I found myself in a trap of dating, like the hair twirl, like, oh my God, and like, I couldn't do it. And I've said, dude, here, it's First Friday, right? You never know. I might find myself out in the bar tonight, and like, it's the weird thing about sex, right? Because you can be in a sexual relationship and think to yourself, yeah, but I can't. We're not going to date. I mean, I can't tell you how many women over my life, especially back then when I was living like that. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're fine. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you're fine. But like, do you have any idea what my friends would say if they found out I slept here last night? I got a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of that in the wake. So people will do that with one another. You can find yourself, who can satisfy you for a couple of days is different than who you want to like be in a relationship. And that's where people, I think, get themselves in trouble, especially like casually sleeping around. Because usually, not all times, but usually somebody either, even at the beginning, kind of is like, I kind of hope this turns out to be something a little bit more than that. Or you slip in the middle, where it's like, neither one of us were really planning here, but one of us has found us on the other side of this, and now it's going to get tricky. There's a difference in how you mix together as a couple versus how you mix together after mixed drinks. Right? Like those can be very, very different things. Disturbed is playing March 31st. It is at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and I am going to send caller 20 right now. 330-450-7625 on those. The toll-free option 800-243-7625 on Disturbed tickets. We'll continue the program next year on Rock 106.9.
We would have him drug tested, but why waste the money? The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Spagnola, Canton, won his way into Disturbed. That show's March 31st. Gave Steve those tickets. Still to come 9 a.m. That first 1,000 Rock the Bank Hero. Jeez. I'm sorry, guys, but I must have missed this last night. I'm just finding this out. CantonRep.com. Where a 27-year-old man being held on $500,000 bond, charged with aggravated robbery, allegedly robbing the Chase Bank on 30th Street Thursday morning. Is it Zavi K. Plajor is accused of showing a gun while demanding money from the tellers and keeping people in the bank against their will. Pointed the gun at patrons and workers. Officers responded at about 11:30 a.m. Police Chief John Gabbard said in a prepared statement, quote, when officers arrived and entered the building, they observed a male brandishing a firearm to a teller while numerous customers were present. Officers ordered the suspect to the ground at gunpoint where he was secured and taken into custody without further incident. Well, at least that part's good. Police recovered around $6,500 in cash, a 9mm Smith & Wesson handgun. He's charged with 8 counts of kidnapping, one for each of the 8 people in the bank. That part makes sense. The victims were both men and women, ranging anywhere from 26 to 87. Good Lord. Judge Kristen D. Gawardo there continued his bond at arraignment held Friday morning in Canton Municipal Court. That'll be today, I suppose. Next court appearance is a status conference scheduled for, I believe, next week. He did not, at this point, enter a plea in court. Well, I mean, there's going to be cameras, and they got you on the ground, got the gun. I mean, what your plea is almost going to be like, yeah, yada, yada, right? I mean, there's going to be that. Yeah, man, robbing banks these days, it just... I mean, I've heard they keep less cash in them than ever before. And I've told this story once upon a time. And I don't know if this was about the lack of money that they had there or just about what the hoops they want to make you run through in order to take a large amount of money out. Now, this is a long, long time ago, and it was in a different state. This was, it was Nevada. And I was trying to take $30,000 cash out of my account, right? and not necessarily important what I was doing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I mean, it was absolutely. We were going to buy a business, and so I was looking to move cash from one place to another. And so I went to the bank. I was like, "Yo, man," I was like, "I need about 30 grand." They were like, "We can't just give you $30,000." I was like, "What? My money though, right?" But of course, everybody knows what banks do with money is loaned it out. That's how your neighbor gets a loan, and all right, this. And I would imagine more and more banks over the years have thought, well, people know where the money is. I mean, they once asked John Dillinger, "John, why do you rob banks?" Simply, beautifully, John Dillinger said, "That's where they keep the money." It's just beautiful. So, people know. This is why before banks, people were robbing trains, because that's where the coins were, right? And so I would imagine more and more banks over the years have thought to themselves, well, what are we doing? We can't just have this stuff. I mean, we're like McDonald's. We got locations on every corner. We just can't have this laying around here. And so I had to fill out some request form, and I don't let me quote the amount of time between when that request form was filled out and I got the money, but I know it was not the same day. It was not the same day, and they organized this whole thing. I think it was maybe a day later, next to maybe 2, and then I went back, and then they were able to give me the money, and then they walked us out to the car, and they made a huge spectacle out of it. And I remember telling my brother, I was like, "You really..." If you and I just walked out of there, nobody would have any idea anything special going on. These morons are making us a target the whole way when we pull out of the parking lot now. What the hell are they doing, right? Made me kind of crazy. So my point to tell you that long story you didn't care about was to say this: why are you going to rob a bank if you can't get 30 grand out of it? $6,000 is what he was able to get off the tellers? Even if the safe has got a bunch of money in it. By the time you get in and out, people have seen too many movies, man. By the time you get in and out of that safe, the cops are going to be there. Even, I don't mean to disparage Canton police, but, my guess is they're not dealing with this kind of stuff the way, a metropolitan city is constant, right? So what I'm saying is they're going to, how far are you going to get? In today's digital world, and I understand, you don't get the desperation of, okay, fine, yes, if we want to reach for reasons people do things, yes, there is one. I'm looking for the smart one. There isn't. The risk versus reward thing, I don't understand. Here's what I mean. That guy walked into a bank with a gun. You now got kidnapping charges for $6,500. Bro, go take a Hellcat off a car lot and flip it for $7,000 on the street. What are you doing, right? You could probably get 15 off of one of your buddies for a Hellcat. Probably more. What are you doing trying to take 8 people hostage for $6,000? The risk versus reward there is absolutely insane. I have another risk versus reward situation here in Canton, Ohio, that I don't understand. And I was hesitant to bring this up because it's election related. And everybody's tired of it, including me. And I keep hearing people say, "Oh, can't wait till the election. I'm so tired of it." It's well, the commercials will end, but do you think everybody's waking up the day after the election all right, perfectly happy with what I saw last night, and everybody be quiet about it for the next 4 years? No, the conversations are only going to get louder. But apparently, a 54-year-old man is now accused of destroying a candidate's campaign signs and now facing criminal charges. Matthew Kreitzer, a candidate/victim, said a detective used traffic camera footage to get a description of the suspect's vehicle. Then they honed in on the identity of the man himself. Canton Police spokesperson Lieutenant Dennis Guerin confirmed the man was charged this week with theft and 2 counts of criminal damaging, all misdemeanor charges. Kreitzer, the Republican running for a nonpartisan Stark County Family Court judicial seat, said in this general election, said 33 of his signs have been stolen or damaged during this campaign season. He said he hopes the would-be vandals think twice now before targeting his or anybody else's signs. Quote from Kevin, "You can get caught," Kreitzer had said. "You can get charged. There are cameras everywhere." Yeah, and this is, I said, and again, we can just kind of keep it vague about the election. I know people are a little worn out, myself included. I said, as a person who is extremely opinionated, went out of his way to find a job where I can hash that opinion out. That's why I wanted to do this. It's all in here and I gotta get it out. And so, like, I love my opinion. I can't wait to tell everybody what it is. And maybe it's because I do have this job that I just have said, my front yard, I'm sorry. Now, I think there's also this. My paycheck is made larger by me saying, this is Stansbury 4. And so, like, dude, if you want my front yard, nah, baby, you're coming off some money. Like, I don't want to hear about it, man. Like, I get paid a halfway decent amount of money to say this is Stansbury 4. I know, a lot of you just thought I'm really cocky. I know. It's okay. But, like, my front yard's worth money. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, and I'm doing it. Beyond that, I'm an opinionated person, and what I'm saying is I don't want to have the conversation when I don't want to have it. And maybe it's because I do this and I can get my opinion out, that I don't feel a need to have the sign in the yard. So I'm not judging anybody else. I am always a little like, man, like I'm surprised people are willing to kind of bring this on with how people feel about all of these things now. Because I think, look, a bunch of elections have been heated over the years, but, you know, anything goes on and we start to get in a little bit of different territory. And that I just don't want to welcome that kind of stuff in, you know? Because as an opinionated person, when I meet somebody new, I try to say, do I like the bulk of this person versus I don't like that opinion, or I really like that opinion, so now I like you. Like, I'd like to take you as a whole, if I can, because that was something I was not very good at as a young man. And so, like, as I age, I'm trying to be better about that. I'm not great at it every day. I'll be honest with you, I am not great at that every day. But I do try that. Beyond all of those things, I am in the advertising business. And so I hear the advertising a lot. I also see probably more advertising than other people, meaning I notice it more in other places because I'm paying attention to how they do it. Oh, that client's on the billboard. Why are they not on the air with us? And like, you know what I mean? Like, I pay attention to marketing in a completely different way. And so when I drive down my street, I wish, everybody's got the right, I wish it were not cluttered with the signs. I'd rather just see the nature, the kids riding the bikes, the earth, the planet, right? I don't want the clutter of it. I don't drive past my neighbor and like, you know, there's a lady two streets down from me with a Harris sign. Fine. Guy right across the street from me, Trump sign. I don't care. Either one. Fine. It's not about the candidate. It doesn't bother me. It's just the clutter of it gets to the point where it's like, oh man, like that's the part I'm ready to have go away. Is the visual just like that? It just feels like litter to me. And everything just gets lost in the sauce. And it's like, there's 35 signs. Everybody's canceling each other out. Does this mean anything anymore? Is where I come down with that. But of course, man, there's cameras everywhere. Be careful what you're doing out there because it's going to be on film. I have that first $1,000 Rock the Bank keyword. You're getting it next on Rock 106.9.
The Stansbury Show.
You're still going to put your foot in your mouth?
On Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansbury Show here on Rock 106.9, online at WRQK.com. And before we go forward, we got to go backwards. Earlier in this program, we were talking about when people realized they were in a relationship with an imbecile. And now, Canton, Ohio, going to find out that they have been in a decade-long relationship with an absolute imbecile known as Dan Stansbury. I, all morning, have forgotten that it is Friday, and I forgot that on Fridays, I'm joined by my good buddy, one of the voices of high school football. He and Jeff Shreve on the call usually, Sam Berkwin, and that's why you didn't get the Tom Petty there. Sam texted me, he's like, yo, man, outside, man. It's like, well, what for? And then,
well, I wondered why somebody other than you
went to the door.
Let me in.
Yeah, you texted me.
Well, I go, maybe he's really got something going on during this break. So long story short, I did. Answers the door. I'm like, I think that's enough.
So that keyword kind of messes stuff up. You kind of have to manipulate the log a little bit. And so I'm like, look, I'm trying to do that. And I got the text, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to have enough time to walk down there, grab you. So I yelled down the hall. I was like, Tony, help me out.
Sure.
I was like, apparently Berkman's here, and I had forgotten it's Friday, man. Thought it was Thursday. So I apologize about that. Sam presented by the Benders of Maslin. I really should be apologizing to them, right? The Benders of Maslin. Check those guys out. There's also the Benders West End Tavern as well. Benders Food and Spirits Pizzeria, downtown Maslin. The pizza. Sammy, Buddy, you got a pretty good game tonight, right? 7 o'clock here on Rock 106.9. If memory serves, and let's not trust mine, is it Hoover at Lake? Is that what I got here?
It is Hoover at Lake. It's a rematch of a couple of weeks ago. And normally I don't like rematches. I hate rematches, especially in high school. We've seen that game before. Don't want to see it again. New stuff, new teams, new opportunities.
Okay.
But since that game was such a thriller, it was a walk-off field goal, 39 yards, and like, okay, we're going to do this again. We're just going to flip sites. All right. Last game was at Hoover. This one's over at Lake.
Oh, okay.
It's a 10-7 teams numerous times. I think they're very evenly matched. Lake is still kind of fighting a little bit of the injury bug. But I think this has got a close game written all over it. It's a Federal League rematch. It's a chance to go to round 2 of the postseason, and then see what else you got. New opportunity, new team, new platform, new weekend. So I'm excited about this game. Beautiful weather. We're going to be at Lake. Great place to call game.
I love that site.
Open air press box. It's going to be a little frosty inside tonight. Windows are going to be wide open. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, Lake kind of got me one night. I went out there. Is the ex-better half there, and her daughter was part of Flag Corps for the high school she went to, and so we went to one of the games there, and I fell in love with that site at Lake. I was, and the Lake played great. I was like, pretty sure that's my team, right? And so, but I do.
Jumping on.
I like that environment though. It feels a little old school football, middle America, high school football, Friday Night Lights. It's that vision personified there a little bit. I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I'm happy you're here. I want to go backwards a little bit.
Sure.
And I know you're kind of known to be the football guy, but we had the World Series. And I can't wait to talk to you about what we saw with Mookie Betts and that foul ball and that catch and those 2 Yankee fans. Now, It's a tough call a little bit because we know Northeast Ohio, it's like the Yankees. They're the bad guys, right? They're just the bad guys. The fans are the bad guys. It's the thing. When I saw that, Sam, I said on the next show, I said, as a disrespectful person who has been so his entire life, who was at, then Jacobs, but Progressive Field when it opened and that whole thing, I would have never in a million years thought to myself, I'm grabbing a player right here. Now, it's different when you jump into the dog pound slapping a guy in a helmet. Different.
Totally different.
That's a different thing, right? He's coming in there, and that's what he's coming in there for, is to be patted on the helmet, rile up the crowd, this and that. The baseball player is supposed to try to make, the catch at the wall there. What did you make of those guys trying to yank that ball out of there?
Well, that's the thing. It was a tag team.
Yes,
one guy held Mookie's wrist and hands away and down, pushed him down, while the other tried to snatch the ball out of his glove.
Yeah,
so this was a 2-on-1, and Mookie Betts had no chance. I was thinking about this, and those guys, by the way, were booted
in that game.
And they couldn't come back to the next game, but they did get a refund, though, which was good. And I'm thinking, these guys, I don't know this for sure, but I believe that's their. I've heard so many stories, but I think those are their tickets, for the year.
The one guy was a season ticket holder. The one guy for sure was.
So you wonder if before the game, hey, Johnny, if we get a chance tonight, somebody comes up and we got a chance to save our butt and get a home run. Do we just? I don't know.
Well, the guy said they view it. Maybe you didn't see this. Michael Irvin, professional athlete, said, No. The player went into the fan area. The fan didn't go into the field. You got to expect this, guys. I was like, wait, what? A professional athlete is seeing it this way? I thought that was crazy, man. Because again, I think it's different. All right, so I talked about jumping into the dog pound.
Yeah.
All right. So the Lambeau leap is what everybody thinks of. Right. That's kind of what started. That Lambeau, right? That whole thing. If you jump in as a Packer player and you get patted on the helmet, that's welcome to being a Packer player. Lambeau leap.
Right.
If you are a Detroit Lions player and you do a Lambeau leap and the fans kind of push you, now,
it's on you.
Dumping beer on you too far,
right?
Dude, let's not dump the products on people. But if it's like, dude, get out of here, and you shove them back there, that's to be expected. You jumped in there and you knew there was an adverse reaction coming.
Right.
That to me is different than a guy who legitimately catching a foul ball as an out is standard baseball.
Yeah.
And yes, you want to take the ball. I just thought it was so crazy, and it's like the mentality of people is different now. That's right. All right, so I said the one day, you realize they're going to move fans back, and everybody pushed back on me, Sam. I said, the owners are too greedy. I said,
DoorDash, I was supposed to call and arrange a drop-off for your items.
Yes. Well, they're actually not for me. I'm sending them out for someone. Are you already on site?
Yes, I'm right out front, right out in front.
Okay. I believe you can check in with the primary,
Front desk.
the person at the front desk.
Okay.
And let me see if I can reach out to the receiving party.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. If you have any trouble, please call me back.
I gotta take gum away from everybody. Because the kid in the back of the class keeps putting it underneath the desk.
Right.
So now nobody gets it. And here's my point. These owners are gonna blame us for taking seats out. And then they're gonna say, we have to raise the prices too. So they're gonna do both. He needed money, so he put it right